Welcome to Smash Fiction, the podcast where each week we pit two or more fictional characters against one another in a battle of strength, or wits, or... please, not green. Damn. I don't suppose you know what kind of alien life form leaves a green spectral trail and craves sugar water?
A Miles?
Zed, we have a bug. This week, Xenomorphs versus Zerg versus Tyranids. Astro Kerfuffle, day 524. You know, we've all had a lot of good fun with this interplanetary hurly-burly, but unfortunately, for all of us lovers of a good microgravity rumpus, it seems that the cosmic foofara is finally coming to an end. Mars is winning, and Earth is losing. The loss of the strategically vital planetoid Zorak to Martian forces was a big blow to the Earth. Some say the reason that the Martian ground troops were able to gain victory over the similarly sized and similarly armed Earthling forces was because the tactical advice and hacking abilities of the Martian AI known as Edie were far superior to the abilities of the Earth AI known as Cortana, but we all know this is ridiculous. In truth, the reason that Cortana's forces lost was because the sun was in their eyes.
I mean, that's what I've been saying this whole time.
Plus, the controller that Cortana was using is all weird. Ugh, I don't have the time to explain it right now, it's complicated. The leaders of the Martian government sent emissaries to Earth to discuss the signing of a peace treaty. The leaders of the various nations of Earth agreed that the best way forward in this scenario was to collectively wipe their butts with this treaty, but given that the treaty was in fact a digital file and not an actual piece of paper, a special committee was created to determine how to address this. The committee then came up with two different possible plans of action. The first option was to print out a copy of the proposed treaty and then have an appointed surrogate for the people of Earth wipe their butt with it. The second option was to engineer some sort of 3D human avatar which would have the ability to digitally wipe its butt with the actual file that the Martians sent over. Most preferred the second option, even though there were some technical hurdles that would have to be overcome first, but in the meantime, there was one thing they could all agree on. Peace with the stupid Marsers was not an option. And so, in their last hour, the proud people of Earth made a brave Hail Mary play. They contacted interdimensional weapons dealer Christine Robinson about purchasing some sort of doomsday weapon that they could use to destroy the Red Planet once and for all. Christine Robinson told them that in addition to the standard molecular disruption devices and red matter bombs, she also had a special deal going on, this week only. Buy 2 legions of invasive killer organisms, get 1 free. The people of Earth, although of course averse to peace, were not at all averse to a sweet deal, and decided to purchase the cryonically frozen armies of 3 of the deadliest organisms that Earth dollars can buy, namely Xenomorphs, Tyranids, and Zerg. The Earthlings then loaded the deadly specimens into a specially designed computer-controlled but otherwise unmanned spaceship known as the USS Fuck Mars, and launched the ship in the direction of the Red Planet. The USS Fuck Mars was also outfitted with a prototype warp engine, which would bend space-time around the ship and allow it to deliver its deadly cargo in a timely fashion. Unfortunately, as soon as they fired up the warp engine, the ship disappeared. It never arrived at Mars at all. At least, it never arrived at the Mars of this dimension.
Dun dun dun.
In the next dimension over, however, the USS Fuck Mars popped into existence in high orbit above the Martian surface. While over one corner of the planet, it dropped a capsule containing Xenomorphs. While over another corner of the planet, it dropped a capsule containing Tyranids. While over the third and final corner of the planet, it dropped a capsule containing Zerg. Ah, Mars, the great 3-cornered planet. Just like real women have curves, real planets have corners. I'd hate to see you orbiting away from me, Bizarro World, but I love to watch you leave.
Oh, man. I thought you peaked with that Men in Black reference, but Bizarro
Colin,
World.
if we were ever to, determine that the judge ship stopped rotating and, everybody had to remain in static roles, I would vote for you to be the judge always.
100%.
Oh, that's very sweet. But all of you dear listeners are probably wondering by now, if this isn't the version of Mars from The Expanse that was used in episode 82 of Smash Fiction, which version of Mars is it? Are these 3 armies of bugs going to have to fight through those tripod walker things? Sparks, Nevada? The Wong family Bungalow Ranch? Matt Damon eating potatoes grown from his own shit? No to all of these. For the natives of this planet don't even call it Mars. There was one visitor who insisted on calling it Mars long ago, kind of an arrogant fuckboy by the name of John Carter, but to everyone else who inhabits this planet, it is known as Barsoom. Barsoom, where 15-foot green giants ride 8-legged horses and fight other dudes who look exactly like humans, but they're red, and everyone has rifles that have radium bullets and an effective range of over 200 miles, but also people use swords, and everyone is psychic, and also airships. Seriously, dudes, if you haven't read A Princess of Mars, OMG, that shit is lit. But unfortunately for all the 10 races of Barsoom, and all of the other weird animals, most of which are like Earth animals but slightly bigger and slightly more legs, the time for the planet is at an end, because they're about to face a 3-way invasion. On one hand, you got the OG acid-blooded chitinous monstrosities who decades ago burst out of John Hurt's chest and into our hearts.
They burst out of John Hurt's chest and into somebody else's chest? Like all of our chests?
Also that. On your second hand, you've got the Tyranids, the not at all subtle ripoffs of the Xenomorphs who eat faces and consume biomass like it's their job, and use it all to construct massive phallic symbols, but then again, what in the Warhammer 40k universe isn't a massive phallic symbol?
Preach.
And on your third hand, you've got the Zerg, the ever so slightly more subtle ripoffs of Xenomorphs, who 15 years before Lonely Island were the first to do the creep. And on your fourth hand, because you're a green Martian in this analogy and you have 4 hands, I don't know, you better have some kind of weapon, because right now you're holding 3 aliens, and that seems like a really bad idea. Today, the canals of the red planet run green with the blood of your enemies. Because you're bug aliens, I assume you all have green blood. But I don't know, I didn't do any actual research this week. I just wrote a bunch of nonsense. And that is why I, Colin Mulcairn, will be your judge this week. And point of clarification, the Xenomorphs are being led by an alien queen so that they can have more eggs when needed. The Tyranids are being led by a dominatrix, and they've been separated from the rest of the hive mind so they can't get reinforcements, but they can reproduce by harvesting Martian biomass. The Zerg are being led by a Cerebrit. They likewise have been separated from the rest of the swarm, and so they can't get more reinforcements, but they can be organized and harvest resources and make buildings and units and all that stuff. Representing Team Xenomorphs is Kit Mulcairn.
Nice.
That was
That was good. That was good.
bad.
Representing Team Tyranids is Dan Mulcairn.
Acid blood, please. Zerglings! Psh. As Archimedes said, give me a chin sack that looks like a scrotum and a place to stand, and I'll eat the earth.
I remember learning about that in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And representing the Zerg, it's Miles Schneiderman.
Rule number 1 for running Smash Fiction, son. When the Zerg are a topic of conversation, that conversation is liable to infest your ears with bullshit.
In order to see who's going first this week, I sent the advocates out into the wilderness to see who could collect the coolest bug for my collection. Dan brought me back this little talking ant named Z, who just complained about how shitty it was to be an ant, and he was kind of annoying, but then I impaled him on a pushpin and hung him up on my wall, and now he's way more tolerable, but still nothing special. Miles brought me back this spider, and it was pretty cool to start off, and then it started writing messages in its webs, and that was even better. But the first one said some pig, and I can't tell if that's a passive-aggressive comment on my weight or not, so I'm kind of reserving judgment on this one for right now. Then Kit brought me back this box with these 2 little twin girls in it, and I was like, these aren't insects, and she's like, wait for it. And then a day later, this 200-foot-tall moth monster stepped on my apartment building, and so, I mean, I'm sad that my apartment building's gone, but that did look pretty sweet, so I guess Kit's going first this week, followed by Miles, followed by Dan?
I cannot argue with that order.
I'm glad you appreciate the blessing that is Mothra. The guardian of the planet Earth, you're welcome.
Team Xenomorphs, were you designed by H.R. Geiger, or are you just happy to see me?
I ain't about to argue that the Zerg and Tyranids are not horrifying in the way that war is horrifying. The thought of you and everything you love being utterly destroyed is scary, but it isn't really horror. Horror is being captured by a large black metal penis monster with 2 sets of sharp tooth-filled mouths that will cocoon you near a moist, fleshy egg, inside of which contains a fleshy clawed hand monster with an asphyxiation fetish that will ram-jam its proboscis penis down your throat and plant what is essentially a tumor. A tumor that will use some of your own DNA and turn into a new, shiny baby penis monster that will burst from your chest in the most painful way, leaving you behind as a gory, used-up corpse. Parenthood, am I right? That is the Xenomorph way. The Xenomorphs' opposition in this match is almost identical in how they function. Massive hive minds that travel the universe with the practically religious purpose of consuming all life to fuel their own, often coming into full-scale war with races advanced enough to oppose them. I'm sure their fight will basically be, I'll kill you! I'll kill you! Smash tiny figurines together. Meanwhile, the Xenomorphs are much more like the eusocial insects of our world, combining the successes of ants with the horror of parasitic wasps. Since the Zerg and Tyranids are so in your face about their force, they can't possibly afford to ignore each other or they'd lose. They'll be much too distracted to properly compensate for the stealthy, fast-reproducing third-party takeover of the Xenomorphs. That's right, motherfuckers. I'm pulling a Dr. Facilier on this match. An adult worker Xeno's whole modus operandi involves the old sneaky sneak over to prey, moving quietly in unseen places, even wall crawling to stay out of line of sight, so that they can drag a victim back to an ovomorph to be fertilized by a facehugger. Besides turning local humans and fauna into new Xenos, they could totally do this to Zerg and Tyranids. And for every one of you that is taken out by a chestburster is another very soon-to-be adult Xenomorph. And I do mean very soon. The entire process from getting your face hugged to having a nightmare made flesh tear itself out of your chest can occur within a day. While your troops kill each other on battlefields, an army of heavy metal penis monsters will be growing in the shadows. That's actually a really good band name. Anyway.
Heavy metal penis monsters? I like it.
And when a Xeno takes a Zerg or Tyranid, they take its form. Soon there will be Xenomorphs that can fly and Xenomorphs that burrow, and they already swim. Nowhere there are shadows will be safe. If the Zerg and Tyranids prove too difficult to drag away, the worker Xenos can always sneak some ovomorphs across enemy lines. Facehuggers are just as opportunistically stealthy and fast-moving as the adults and don't even need to fully attach to prey in order to impregnate. They release chemicals that paralyze and sedate as well as erase the entire memory of the event from their victims. Once attached, removing a facehugger is almost always fatal to the victim thanks to the sheer strength of its gripping claws and its highly acidic pressurized blood that can easily melt through many layers of metal, let alone flesh and bone. Speaking of, adult Xenomorphs are fully aware of their blood's various applications and use it as both a weapon and a tool. So go ahead, bite into a Xeno. Get some of that sizzling yellow nougat. Enjoy it until your face melts away. It's not like Xenomorphs will just throw themselves into your mouths, though. They're powerful animals with a bite strength of 6,000 psi. That's the weight of 2 mid-sized cars stacked on top of each other and concentrated on a 1 by 1 inch square, and a set of pharyngeal jaws that shoot out like a piston to easily smash through bone and metal. Their tails are blade-tipped and strong enough to impale and lift a full-grown predator, like a hideous doll. They can break through welded-shut steel doors and endure loads of physical punishment. Xenos have been observed surviving the vacuum of space and the extreme heat of several tons of molten lead being poured onto them. But they're scarier than just powerful animals, because they're smart animals. Xenos have been observed learning how to operate machinery at a basic level by watching it done once. Cutting power to a complex, operating an elevator, or using their own blood to escape capture. But I've been rambling long enough about my beautiful space bugs. Judge, unless the opposition has with them a sassy Nollings frog princess, the Xenomorphs will most certainly win this war from the shadows.
Alright, well done, Team Xenomorphs. Team Zerg, I guess spawn more overlords?
In true me form, I would like to preface this opening argument by saying that when I first began researching for this match, I had no idea where to look, because I had no idea who or what I was representing. You see, I had opted, quite by accident, to argue on behalf of something from a video game, and even though I'm told it was a video game I had played before, as you're all aware, all knowledge of video games was erased from my psyche in the Great Miles Purge of 2011. However, I did have a general idea of what the subject of my advocacy did in order to propagate, and so I figured that since I couldn't do any research, I would simply do as my unknown space bug proxies would do. And I just started fucking around with random genetic experimentation, only in this case performed exclusively with vocal utterances, hoping to find the right word that would tell me what I was supposed to be looking up. And it was via that process that I found the answer, finally reached after combining the German pronunciation of a definite article, the sound I make when I see a cockroach, one of the most common exclamations of pirates, and professional wrestler Enzo Amore's preferred term to describe himself. And just like Enzo, I'm gonna spell that out for you because it's the Z to the E to the RG swarm, and it's coming for Barsoom like dudes on the internet complaining about the friend zone. Impossible to escape and surrounded by creep.
Miles, do you wonder why our episodes keep bloating so badly?
I'm taking notes here on all of the points that you bring up. I have like Xenos, I have some points listed. Zerg, still just a blank thing.
Yep.
As a wise man once said, a man who was certainly much too wise to have written the nonsensical vomit pile of words that just came out of my mouth, we're all world-devouring space bugs here. So, what makes the Zerg better at chewing up puny humans and sending their paltry accomplishments spinning worthlessly into the void of space than the culture-shaping horror of the Xenomorphs, or the apocalyptic avatars of grimdark that are the Tyranids? The answer is versatility. Xenomorphs, for the most part, have the intelligence of your smarter animals at best rolling into this game with a reason of good. Tyranids are basically a single hive mind, constantly thinking the same hate everything must kill thought over and over again, essentially the astrovermin equivalent of Reddit. The Zerg Swarm is a constantly evolving, highly specialized collection of the most useful traits from 100 different species, and they have 100 different ways to murder your face and invade your base. Murder the face, not hug it, you goddamn xenomorph hippies. For the reason larvae these days don't act like men. You want to play the overrun game? Yeah, here's my small mountain of Zerglings ready to overrun anything in their path. They are cheap, they are plentiful, they eat things, and they go all over the planet destroying what's in front of them. Care to take this battle into the sky? Oh, hello. Allow me to introduce my Mutalisks, Corruptors, and Leviathans. Not to mention these handy Hydralisks that I left lying around that can take care of both ground and air assailants. Those are nice. Can you use changelings and parasites to take the form of your enemies and infiltrate their ranks? No, I didn't think so. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, what about fucking magic? Can you use magic? Can I use magic? I don't really know. All I know is that certain abilities are referred to as spells. My queen and my defilers can cast spells that protect my forces from enemy projectiles, or instantly deal massive amounts of damage, slow down advancing troops, and oh yes, kill a motherfucker by turning him or her, or I guess in this case probably it, into a pair of Zerg broodlings. War of attrition? Bring it, bitch, my troops regenerate. And that's not even counting the burrowers, mind controllers, and suicide bombers that the Zerg can bring to bear to basically enact any strategy they choose. Y'all better hope we don't get our claws, or whatever we have instead of hands, depends on the individual, on the good humans of Barsoom, because, or what, humanoids of Barsoom, because before you know it, we'll be turning them into walking detonators and throwing them carelessly at anything you choose to throw at us. Zerg is the name, genetic perfection is the game, and I don't think you want to be fucking with a hive mind that allows just enough individualism and rapid mutation skills to be unpredictable and creative. We are the Swarm, and you will be just eaten. Eaten is also good.
Alright, very well done. Team Tyranids. Why did the Tyranid cross the road? Because it consumed a chicken's biomass and assimilated its actions into the hive mind.
Real talk. Warhammer 40k is a crazy, crazy setting.
Yeah.
Aliens and Starcraft have their weird sci-fi elements, but they're within spitting distance of being believable. Not so with 40k. To start with, it takes place not in the 24th or 25th century as Aliens and Starcraft do, but in the 41st millennium. We're talking tens of thousands of years more advanced than either setting. In this time, humankind has spread to almost every corner of the galaxy and has harnessed the power of magic, demons, and ancient alien technology. The Imperium of Man makes use of battleships larger than cities, and employs superhumanly powerful space marines that are like, what would happen if you gave the Iron Man armor to Captain America, and then had an army of them? Even though they regularly war with million-year-old psychic space elves and Lovecraftian elder gods, the one threat to the Imperium of Man that is spoken of in uniquely horrified tones is the irresistible wave of devouring, senseless death that is the Tyranids. So, what are some of the tricks that will give the Tyranids an edge in this match? On the surface, a lot of their more common vanilla units seem pretty similar to many of the creatures that'll be coming from the Xenomorphs and Zerg. But before I hear anyone say that's pretty much a wash, consider that even the Gaunts, the Tyranids' basic grunt soldier, are extremely adaptable. Some have venom sacs, some can launch spikes, some can fly. Tyranid warriors and hive tyrants are both huge and extremely strong, often capable of flight, pack tremendous psychic powers, and are skilled both in melee and ranged combat. Broodlords can infiltrate the ranks of their prey to gather information and undermine their defenses. Lictors are terrifying creatures with the ability to blend into their surroundings. Not only that, but a lictor can devour the brain of its prey to gain its knowledge. And with the way the Tyranid hive mind works, anything that one Tyranid learns, all Tyranids learn. Hope you weren't planning on keeping the location of your Cerebrit or your alien queen's secret, chumps. Tyrant guards are large creatures that are almost impossible to hurt. It takes multiple salvos from heavy weaponry to even dent one. Zoanthropes have huge, overswelled brains that basically make them like Protoss on steroids. They move by levitating. They can hypnotize enemies into a stupor. They can rip the life force from an opponent, and they can rain down storms of destructive psychic force on whole armies at once. Plus, they are constantly shielded from harm by a force field which remains intact as long as the creature lives. Then there are the Molochs and Trigons, which are basically the creatures from Tremors. They can burrow quickly and instantly swallow other creatures whole, which totally negates any benefit the Zerg might have gained by burrowing, and it allows them to lead groups of other Tyranids through these tunnels and behind enemy lines and fortifications. Biotitans are the Tyranids' nuclear option. Godzilla-sized creatures that can take out a squad of space marines at once and can go toe-to-toe with the largest war machines the Imperium of Man has. Their tentacles can snatch ships from the sky. Their claws can instantly rip apart buildings and tear apart entire formations of tanks, and many are mounted with multiple biocannons, allowing them to take out armies of flying or distant foes easily. Even a lucky shot that manages to get around or through its heavy chitinous armor will soon be rendered insignificant thanks to the Biotitan's instant regeneration. But that's not even close to everything. The Tyranids have something that neither of their competition does. Equipment. The Tyranids are capable of growing armor, weaponry, and vehicles. Both the Zerg and Xenomorphs have shown a vulnerability to fire. Not only do Tyranids not share this vulnerability, but they can use fire with the right bioweapon configurations, like the bioplasma breath weapon of the gargoyles. They have weapons that launch swarms of flesh-eating beetles. They have weapons with self-steering projectiles, meaning they don't even need to be able to see their target to hit it. They have weapons that shoot electricity, poison, explosives, crystalline toxins, or giant impaling spines, and those are just the ranged weapons. If a Tyranid finds you, you'd better hope you get impaled on one of their blades or claws, because the number of much, much worse alternatives is just staggering. Almost every Tyranid unit is capable of shredding through armor, even powered armor, as if it didn't exist. Tyranids spread corrupting, mutating spores as they march, meaning that planets that the Tyranids have started to assimilate will see even their plant life turn against them, becoming fast-growing and carnivorous. The Xenomorphs and Zerg aren't anywhere near as powerful or as versatile as the Tyranids are. The Tyranids are by far the most intelligent of the three, and they have an amazing win record against enemies much, much tougher than anything the other two have ever had to deal with. Barsoom was a dying planet even before the Tyranids arrived, but now its days are truly numbered. When the planet dies, it will go with neither a bang nor with a whimper, but with the sound that countless alien worlds have heard when the Tyranids arrive. Nom, nom, nom.
So you've picked up your 40k speak. Well done.
All right. Looks like we got here one heck of an infestation. It's time for rebuttals.
You buggles!
First up is Team Xenomorphs. So, everybody else, say mean things about the Xenomorphs.
That means come at me.
You were saying that the Xenomorphs would be able to drag the Zerg and the Tyranids back to their lairs and make hybrids out of them.
Maybe.
But that is the worst possible choice that they could make, because the Tyranids have numerous unit types that are capable of exerting mind control over other Tyranids, so if you make Xenomorph Tyranid hybrids, those are just going to be mine. They're just going to fall under my control.
No, see, that's, like, the DNA is only the smallest amount to, like, shape the physicalness. I had a feeling you were going to bring that up, and I just don't buy that. They are still mostly Xenomorph. They're still controlled by their queen. It's just, like, the littlest bit of DNA. I don't buy it.
Tyranid DNA.
I will leave it to the judge to decide whether that's legit, but it is very, like, you're competing with two different, like, minds here, and at the end of the day, they are Xenomorphs with the shape and abilities of the Tyranids, but they are not Tyranids.
So if they are Xenomorphs, that's great, but one of the big problems with Xenomorphs is that they are more vulnerable to various types of attacks than the other two races are. Dan made a big deal of how, like, he was the only one who couldn't be hurt by fire, which is not actually true, but Xenomorphs are vulnerable to fire, they're vulnerable to extreme cold, they're vulnerable to, like, sonics and carefully placed loud vibrations and sounds. So I just think they're coming into this at a fundamental disadvantage, having all these weaknesses that the Zerg, at least, do not share.
The fire, only if they're, under extreme heat for, like, a very prolonged period of time. Like I mentioned, molten lead poured on them. It's cool. sort of the same thing with the extreme cold. I mean, they can survive in the vacuum of space for a while. Granted, the vacuum of space is not cold, but that's science, whatever. Well, this is science babble time, not real science
Hoist
time.
by your own petard.
I'm sure Ridley Scott thinks it's cold, so for the purposes of this...
Hoist
So
by your
if
space
Ridley
petard.
Scott thinks that space is cold, then they can survive space for some time. Thank you.
That's true.
They're cool. They're
that
cool.
checks out.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
You were making a big deal out of the 6,000 psi strength that the little tiny piston mouth has.
No, just the jaws in general.
Or just the jaws,
I
sure.
mean, I'm sure the piston does similar.
Yeah, and I mean, that's fine, but like, you have to remember that Tyranid armor can repel high caliber siege weaponry and laser blasts. Like, to give you a comparison, you said the force of a xenomorph bite is 6,000 psi. The average impact force of a bullet from a modern day military grade carbine is over 433,000 psi. Those are the sorts of things that the Tyranids can shrug off.
War is hell.
That's right.
That's fine. Acid first.
In the grimdark future of the 41st millennium, there is only war.
So if it's always hell, does anyone even care anymore? Like, is hell really so bad if it's your everyday?
Yeah, you just get used to it. It's like when there's a weird smell in your apartment, and everyone else can smell, but you can't.
Does anyone else smell hell? Oh, I don't even smell that anymore. Sorry, that's... Alright, Team Zerg.
You mentioned that you have, like, changelings? Is that
Yeah.
what you call them? Shapeshiftery dudes? Okay. So you're gonna need more than a change of exoskeleton to sneak behind xenolines. You wouldn't be able to communicate with them or the queen. It's gonna be like when an enemy ant is trying to sneak too close to another nest. We know you ain't real. You can't talk to us.
Yeah, as a kind of side point to that, there's actually some dialogue from some of the Starcraft fiction where you learn that the Zerg changelings aren't capable of disguising their own scent. Because they say, like, you know how you can tell the difference between a Zerg changeling and a Marine is that the Marine smells worse. So, like, they're not capable of changing their own scent. Like, that's not a huge deal when you're trying to infiltrate humans, but I'll bet you that the Tyranids and the Xenomorphs are going to have plenty of ways of picking out a wolf in sheep's
Well,
clothing.
for one thing, that's not a commentary on whether or not the Zerg can change their scent. That's merely a commentary on the bathing habits of the Space Marines in the StarCraft universe, sir. Second of all, I mean, sure, the changelings may get foiled. It's entirely possible that the changeling strategy doesn't work out. I guess I better turn to any other of the million strategies. If I want to infiltrate your stuff and look at what you have, then I do still have the Parasite spell cast by the Queen, which allows me to do that. And if that sort of, I guess, space bug intrigue strategy doesn't work out, there are lots of other things that I can do. An incredibly versatile array of tactics that the Zerg can bring to bear. Just because one of them may not work doesn't mean one of the others won't.
So we've established as part of this match that there's a Cerebrit directing all the Zerg. And that's a big problem because the Zerg are more or less helpless if their Cerebrit gets taken out. We see that in the mission called the Culling in StarCraft 1, and there's only ever one Cerebrit in command of a given Zerg Swarm. Basically what that means is you have a giant off button. And as soon as we get enough units into where your Cerebrit is, and we kill it, your Zerg are going to eat each other. Because that's what happens when the Cerebrit dies.
I mean, all I have to do if I want to take out the Tyranids is take out enough synapse creatures, and you're going to do the same goddamn thing. And
yeah, how many synapse creatures do we have, though? Way more than just one, which is all the number of Cerebrits.
Right,
that you
but
have.
the difference is your synapse creatures are going to be in the field of battle, moving around, doing things, and presenting themselves as targets. The Cerebrit is going to be locked in the way in the structures constructed by the Zerg. I did some consultation with a bunch of people that I know that play 40k in preparation for this match, and Tyranids have a super hard time with fortifications and battlements and basically anything resembling the large structures that the Zerg construct, because they can't attack any units behind enemy walls, they can just attack the walls. So I'm honestly not too worried about my Cerebrit being hidden inside the fortress that your troops can't get through.
The Zerg are actually the worst at defense in their game. You guys are twinsies!
First of all, the Zerg buildings are a liability. They're not a resource. Like, when those buildings are destroyed, you can't make Ultralisks anymore, or what have you. Like, those are necessary for you to operate, and they just offer further weak points that we can exploit. Secondly, Tyranids can totally go under walls, like those burrowing units I was mentioning. Once we figure out where your Cerebrid is, we just burrow on in there and eat them shits.
Okay, well, I have burrowing units too, which are going to provide defense. I don't want...
Burrow fight!
The Zerg buildings are primarily used to construct units, but it's not like I'm restricted by them. I build a bunch of fucking, I don't know, spore colonies or whatever, or spires in a row. That's a wall. And while you're trying to take it out, I'm still constructing more fucking flyers coming out of the spires. Haha. Meanwhile, maybe I have one in another place. I mean, that's the whole point, is that a building cannot possibly be a liability to me because it is an active hindrance to you. Just because once it's destroyed it stops being useful doesn't mean it wasn't useful in the first place.
Alright, Team Tyranids.
So, once again, I did some talking to some people I know who are avid 40k players for this match. And, you know, the Tyranids were universally described to me as like this massive, unbeatable force that was pretty much eventually gonna either consume the entire universe or just be locked in constant battle with the orcs until the end of time. However, that was all in the context of, like, the mass Tyranid hive mind. These Tyranids have been separated from the hive mind, and Tyranids on their own can and have many times been defeated in regular battle. Just to take one point in particular, Dan, you mentioned their armor, how awesome their armor is. Tyranids actually have one of the worst armor saves in 40k. Armor is not their forte, and they can easily be taken out, especially the littler ones, by flamers. So fire resistance, not so much.
You have to keep in mind the power level that we're working on here. As I mentioned a lot in my opener, the universe of Warhammer 40k is so much deadlier and more advanced than either of your universes. So to say that the Tyranids have a relatively smaller armor value when compared to something like, say, a Space Marine or an Orc or a Tau or whatever, that's on that scale. It's still going to be significantly higher than what you guys are rolling with. And in terms of the numbers thing which you brought up, their numbers do give them a huge advantage in their own universe, but so do things like their natural bioweapons, or their ability to cut through power armor with their claws, or their ability to use warp powers, or their intelligence and their versatility, or their ability to fly and burrow. Like, there's a ton of reasons that they're a threat that have nothing to do with their numbers, and which all still give them a huge advantage over both of you.
These are all dope-ass things that the Xenomorphs might get, so thank you.
Yeah,
but
I was actually going to say, same thing with the Zerg. Like, if your armor really is that good, then thank you.
And if it doesn't work, we can always just outswarm secretly, because here's the thing. Xenomorph queens can make more Xenomorph queens, and the queens don't like to be too close to each other, so the drones take them and take them to far corners. So we're just gonna be slowly spreading in the shadows, sneaky, while you guys kill.
Okay, Kit, you're talking about how the Xenomorphs are able to take on all of these attributes of their victims, but what sort of range of attributes do we see? It's there's that Xenomorph that does the facehugger thing on the dog in Alien 3. You just get a four-legged alien. There's no additional dog traits. It just walks differently. When you get the Pred alien in Alien vs. Predator 2, it's a bit bigger and a bit stronger, and it has a really ugly face. And that's about it. No additional Predator traits. It is beautiful, but it is an ugly motherfucker. And Miles, you keep talking about the Zerg's ability to use the DNA of all these races that you encounter, but in the main StarCraft campaign, how long is it between when the Zerg start fighting the Terrans and then when you start seeing the first infested Terran in the game? How long does it take them to make new units that are also really unstable and are prone to blowing themselves up? That's what the Zerg do after a long time.
Well, the prone to blowing themselves up thing, I would say, is intentional. We use humans as suicide bombs. It looks fun.
Miles,
yeah?
are you saying it's a feature and not...
Sorry. 10 points for Gryffindor.
Oh my god. I think you're mischaracterizing the amount of time it takes to see those mutations crop up in the Zerg, because we don't actually know how long it took them to make an infested Terran. We just know when was the next time you saw an infested Terran in that game. If this is the Long War, then I think the Zerg are far more likely to win it than the Tyranids, because again, we have the fortifications. As soon as the adaptations happen, we take all your best qualities and incorporate them into ourselves. All your equipment, we just make organic versions of. All your abilities, we learn how to do.
If you want to talk long game, there's not even a contest, because the Tyranids over time start building giant organic structures that go into the planet itself. We eat the bedrock of the planet, we start consuming every organic material, we start eating the atmosphere. We're like a combination between Galactus and the Mega Maid from Spaceballs. Like, there are multiple times in the course of Warhammer when Tyranids are invading a world and the plant life starts to die off, because of how much effect the Tyranids and their swarms and their spores are having on just the planet itself. Like, they just have to be around and everything else starts to die.
What you do to the planet doesn't matter. What matters is what you do to me, and you can't kill the Zerg, we gon' get you.
You see in, like, some of the more distant media that has Xenomorphs in it that they also do acquire wings, so, like, they take on the physical features. By the way, winged Xenomorphs, the most metal fucking thing you've ever seen. Go on Google right now, unless you're driving. Wait till you stop. Fucking metal.
Yeah, they actually, when they erupt out of the host chest, they come out with an electric guitar, just shredding.
Yeah.
If you
like,
are driving, then
biomechanical,
pull over so you can look this up.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is more important than whatever you're doing.
All right. Hey guys. Guess what?
What?
What's that, Colin?
Oh, no!
If only there was a Xenomorph with a guitar to play a sweet riff.
Yep.
And just so you know, the storms on Mars are pretty nasty.
Oh.
The massive armies of bugs have long ago devoured all of the native inhabitants of Barsoom.
Aw.
But since then, the Xenomorphs, the Tyranids, and the Zerg have been fighting a three-way standstill for months now. But then, one fateful morning, a giant shadow falls across the ruins of the great city of Helium. Gusts of wind knock down the towers that line the city's outer walls, earthquakes rock the land, and surrounding fields of crops spontaneously catch on fire. The armies of battling bugs stop killing each other for a moment and look skyward at the massive form that looms above their planet. There may not be a face on Mars, but there is a giant face hovering above Mars. A giant golden head with a prominent chin,
Oh my god.
bulging round eyes, and weird little black irises that look like asterisks. It looks down at the armies of bugs battling each other below, and it speaks 5 words.
Speaking of electric guitars.
Show me what you've got! That's right, ladies and gentlemen. A Cromulon from the Cygnus 5 Expanse by the name of Sam Ruiz has come to Mars, and he has come to do what he always does, feed on the talent and showmanship of less evolved organisms. And if you can't put on a show-stopping performance the likes of which they've never seen, then they will incinerate Barsoom, and then nobody wins. That's not fun. Thinking over their options, the Xenomorph Queen, the Dominatrix, and the Cerebrit realize that one of the downsides of having massive armies all being controlled by the same hive mind is that there's not a lot of room for talented outliers in the bunch. But what they do have is numbers and coordination, and that means just one thing. It's time for you to transform your well-regimented army of killing machines into Barsoom's most killer marching band. Advocates, what do your marching band uniforms look like? Does your faction's leader serve as the band leader? If not, who does? What songs do you play? What sorts of choreography and formations do you employ? Any other special effects you use? Mist, fireworks? The space is the limit.
Man, Colin,
Sorry,
that Farnsworth Sanchez episode really changed your life, didn't it?
Yep. The order for the main round was Xenomorphs, Zerg, Tyranids. So for the lightning round, we will go Tyranids, Zerg, Xenomorphs. So Tyranids, start us off.
Okay, so in terms of uniforms, the Tyranids recognize that this marching band thing is a phenomenon based on Earth. And they've encountered Terrans before. You know, they've encountered the Imperium of Man. And so they say, okay, well, we need uniforms. How do the humans dress? And so, of course, their uniforms are basically just skulls. Just all shapes and sizes. They're all delineated by color, so, each section has a different kind of color scheme, but skulls and only skulls, because that's what they know. And they have a big old supply of them, as it turns out, after this devastating extinction war. The band leader is actually going to be a zoanthrope, which, if you don't remember from my opener, are the psychic ones, the ones that, they have, these giant pulsing brains, and they just, float around and only interact with things through telekinesis, because, obviously, the band leader has to be the biggest nerd, and so, it's just going to be, floating out in front of them, just telekinetically raising and lowering the baton. Maybe it's even, raising and lowering multiple batons at once, spread out across the entire sort of band, because, we're going to have a band of trillions by the time this is done, so we need a lot of sort of points of reference for the rhythm. The Tyranid invasions in 40k are described as being extremely apocalyptic. They're accompanied by earthquakes and volcanoes erupting and an overwhelming sense of dread and people going insane. So obviously the songs that we're going to choose are going to be similarly apocalyptic in sound. There's going to be O Fortuna from Carmina Burana. There's going to be lots of Wagner. Maybe just Flight of the Valkyries on loop forever, or maybe they'll figure out a way to play just the Monolith song from 2001, Atmospheres. And then in terms of the choreography, so the way that a Tyranid swarm typically invades a planet is they actually have this cult set up to them ahead of time, and so, by the time they actually get there, it turns out that a bunch of the natives of a planet are actually, these weird Tyranid hybrids and have been all along. So, the marching band is actually going to start off looking like native Martians. They're just you just think it's a regular old Martian marching band wearing a bunch of skulls. But then, as the performance progresses, you start seeing, there's some flying Tyranids that start flying down and joining them. And then there's some lictors that begin to decloak and join them. And then, just bit by bit, the sky begins to darken beneath the force of our marching band as we get larger and larger, and pretty soon just overtake the entire world with the sound of our music.
James Zerg, what do you have to say to that?
I mean, there's not much to say except to remember what the Zerg are and what they do, which is assimilate people and take their best qualities and make them their own. I think over the course of their rampage through space, the Zerg have assimilated many a sci-fi musician in their time. The Max...
I'm picturing marching bands fleeing from Zerg armies and getting eaten, and that's really funny for some reason, and I'm sorry. That is all. Sorry. They've consumed trillions of marching bands. Sorry.
Yeah, they've consumed so many marching bands. But not just marching bands, is again, the key here with the Zerg is versatility. When they consumed the Max Rebo band, for example, they learned a great deal about playing the catchiest tunes in the universe. When they consumed Interstella 5555, they absorbed the entire Daft Punk catalog. When they consumed...
Harder, better, faster, stronger, indeed.
That's right.
When they consumed Gem and the Holograms. I mean, it's it's the entire entertainment industry locked within the hive mind of the Zerg. So we're not going to have any problems rocking out with some modern classics, with some futuristic classics, with some, some older stuff, some stuff that people might recognize from their days in that space station on Tatooine before Tatooine was a Zerg place. And then, of course, the Zerg have come up with their own very catchy original number, which is just storming every social event across the universe, which we like to call the Creepid Shuffle. As far as uniforms... As we all know, when the Zerg absorb inorganic material, it becomes organic material. So I'm imagining, those big hats, but, made out of hands, or the sashes that they wear sometimes, but they're, intestines and kind of, stuff like that. Basically just all manner of woven together skin, only the best. Of course, no cancerous lesions or over-allergenic dermatography there. So, these beautiful uniforms made from flesh that actually become the Zerg skin, at that point become very core to their identity.
All right, I'm breaking up the rear. Team Xenos.
I have to honor my emo roots. fuck the haters. I was a teenager once. Deal with it. So I'm gonna have them, my little Xeno troops, dress like MCR did, My Chemical Romance, when they had Welcome to the Black Parade. Because it is
You dork.
They dressed in band uniforms that looked very skeletal. It was fantastic. But that's the only emo reference I got.
That's so good.
So don't worry, emo haters. The Queen. She will be the band leader, but she's going to be carried because she's massive. She's very termite queen-like. She's going to be carried by some of her drones, and she's going to be laying eggs as they walk along, making more xenomorphs eventually to continue carrying her on. What they will be playing? Well, thankfully, no emo music. I think they'd be much better at metalcore. So let's see. Okay, all right. So they're just
playing acid core.
Okay,
is that a thing?
Okay.
Jazz, maybe.
Acid jazz, yeah.
Oh my
you missed
God.
it, Kit.
No.
I mean, the Xenomorphs would have a really great time at Woodstock, I feel like.
That's true.
Sorry, continue, Kit.
Oh God. Okay. So going back to what the kids like for just a second. Bullet for My Valentine. How about Waking the Demon? Maybe some Killswitch Engage, When Darkness Falls, because that's what they like. And maybe just to finish it off, a little Trivium, Until the World Goes Cold. That seems appropriate for all of us, really. The formations they'll be marching in. Very phallic formations. They're going to be making all kinds of penis shapes with piston mouths coming out of the
Wait,
penis head.
I didn't think you were the ones representing the Tyranid, kid. Is that...
We're all evil
all
penis
space
monsters
penises
here.
And for
Let he who does not resemble a giant space penis cast the first stone.
y'all just chomping my space penis flavor. Just going down on my space penises. Get away. Finally, for the special effects. Fireworks, but acid. Acid works.
Oh, no.
Acid for everybody.
You get some acid, and you get some acid.
And there will be popping acid. It'll be great. Everyone will be tripping balls, getting burnt.
Okay, well,
I'm feeling pretty embarrassed, so that's usually the sign of a good lightning round.
I feel good about myself.
all right. I feel like I've just consumed like a whole lot of data or like DNA or something, and so I'm gonna retreat now into a little cocoon for a few hours and evolve, and we'll see when my shell cracks open what I'm gonna pop out as. So chitter amongst yourselves.
Oh my gosh, the research was so unpleasant for Zerg and Tyranid, but Xenomorphs are so fun to read about. They're just like such a well-designed creature until like the way too many sequels. I basically start hating things that they do to them at like Alien 3. They start fucking with them too much. They're fucking with a beautiful thing, and I don't like it.
What is it that you don't like that they do to them in Alien 3?
I apologize. It's more Ripley I don't like in Alien 3. So I kind of start disliking the franchise at Alien 3 because of what they do to her.
Right.
But they get like in the little offshoot stuff, they kind of start making some contradictory things about what they're able to do. I really don't like the theory that they were created, and I'm very afraid that that's going to come out in the next major movie. The sequel to Prometheus is going to say that they were made.
That movie is already out. Alien Covenant.
Oh, Covenant! Did they actually?
Yeah, they talk about the origins of the aliens in that movie.
I missed it!
Yeah.
Oh, fuck it! Yeah, see, it's dead to me. I don't even know. No. It's much better if they just naturally evolved. Give nature a chance. Natural selection is insane. You cheapen them by making them an engineered race.
As far as I'm concerned, basically everything that happened after 3 doesn't count. So, especially fucking Prometheus. Prometheus.
Oh man. Yeah, that series.
It's definitely better than attempting to consume, at least for me, anything related to 40k. Although I'm sure that if I've heard enough about the 40k mythos that it interests me, but God damn, there's so much.
Yes.
There's so fucking much.
The like losing sanity thing is always really cool. That's why I like Lovecraft stuff. But like, I turned to Dan at one point. We kind of like came to the conclusion that, Xenomorphs are like these cool, perfect horror animals. Whereas the Tyranids are like, if you made Rob Liefeld design a Lovecraft race.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like he took Mego and was like, you know what? No, their muscles need to be bigger than their heads. And they need more pouches.
The problem with them is they're
big guns and no feet.
They're designed in the context of a Games Workshop product, and that can be a real issue. I was talking to former co-host of the show Diamond J about this issue earlier today, and he's a big 40k guy. He was telling me all about how great the Tyranids were, and then I was like, all right, well, surely this is a game, there must be game balance of some sort.
Right.
And he's like, no, really, the way it works is that, like, whatever the new codex is the coolest thing ever and better than everything else. And that just continues until another codex comes out. And I'm like, oh.
Gotta love that power creep.
Oh, God.
As much as I like to rag on Blizzard, StarCraft is still the shit.
Yeah, it's, yeah. What race would you like to play usually?
God, I feel like I was usually Protoss?
Hell yeah.
I'm pretty sure Protoss were my jam. I just really fucking love constructing pylons, what can I say?
Alright, guys. I thought it over. There were some good points made on all sides. Everybody made a really strong showing this time, actually. I feel like y'all managed to land some really good punches on each other tonight. You know I love the Zerg, and Kid, I really wanted you to have the comfort behind victory on this thing, but, like, honestly, not a lot of clean punches were landed on the Tyranids.
It's that chitinous body armor, man.
Yeah, It is close, you know, but I kind of feel like, as much as I don't like 40k, because I don't like 40k, I'm sorry, at me if you want to talk about it, I kind of got to give it to the Tyranids on this one. You're talking about the sheer power level, they just kind of seem to be on another level in terms of what they can accomplish. Maybe there's an argument to be made for the other ones, but in terms of the specifics of the arguments, the points that you've drawn, Dan, your argument was the most specific. You had, like, the most quote-unquote facts, and I gotta give it to you on that one. So,
Dan, how hard is your penis right now?
Oh, it's like halfway between a xenomorph and a Tyranid, is what I would say.
Congratulations on winning with your Rob Liefeld stupid space bugs. They're nowhere near as cool as my space.
No,
sometimes it takes the most extreme to win.
This just confirms my deepest fears, which is that in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only Dan.
That's why it's so grim and dark, dude.
Yeah.
Dan, let me live inside your chest.
I think we all need to think twice before the next time we bring 40k. And not saying we won't, but let's just make sure that it's in a match that can
dude, have you seen our suggestion list? There's a ton
it's
of 40k.
It's all 40k. Everyone who listens to this likes 40k. We'll do our best, but man, it's going to be hard to match these guys in terms of power level.
Keep in mind that we really try to create, like, balanced matches, so we've been kind of like, the 40k. So suggest, if you genuinely believe that the match is fair, suggest it.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be.
I mean, I think that the match was not fundamentally imbalanced. Perhaps the Tyranids came in with a slight advantage due to power level of overall universe, but I would credit Dan's victory to Dan. Not necessarily to
as would I. Like I said, the specifics of the argument. The specifics of the argument was really good. You really knew what to say. You really knew what to strike. Yeah. So anyway.
In other words, Dan, go fuck yourself.
Twitter. Thank you to Marissa Bond, Mike Booch, Florian, Cosplay Fiend, Tyler Fullman, Grayson Leal, Duffy, Neil Butler, At a Son of a Gun, The Politipop Podcast, Christine Robinson, Vander Turner, David Amata, Paladin Today, Sabina Mosher, Sandwich Surplus, and Rafael Medina for retweeting our episodes or just tweeting about us. And also, Christine Robinson mentioned that she and a friend of hers, both patrons, will be starting their own Extraordinary League game, so yay! Tell us how it goes.
Yeah. They've apparently been using the DM notes that I post on the Patreon, and I'm actually going to be posting some kind of alternative thoughts about League, because there's actually a lot of different ways that you can run League that I've done in the past, and so I don't want people to get stuck thinking that there's only one League setup or storyline or anything, so I'll be posting about that in probably the next few weeks or thereabouts.
Christine Robinson making good use of her newfound free time now that she is an intergalactic arms dealer.
Yes.
I just wanted to say, we got a tweet from Noam Goldutting. He's in the hospital, and he said that the Unspoiled podcasts and Smashfic are helping him keep his spirits up. So I just want to say, Noam, we hope you get better soon.
Yeah, feel better, buddy.
I mean, this is going to be going out a couple of weeks after we got the tweet, but best wishes to you, and
we hope you're already better.
Yeah.
But if you're still there,
hopefully the show isn't too bad for your blood pressure, because that's a delicate thing, and we understand we yell a lot, so, But yeah, best of luck to you. Yeah.
Over to Tumblr. Thank you to Geek Haven, Little Kipepeo, whose name I love to say every time you revlog. I'm like, yeah, I get to say it again. Little Kipepeo. Okay. And Sandwich Surplus, Mr. Man 334, and Jeep Run. Over to Facebook. Thank you to Sharon Schneiderman, Jeffrey Ketchum, Viola Sanderlin, and Robert Ramsey.
I know that first name really well from somewhere. What was it? Sharon? What?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sharon She sounds...
Oh, she's probably related to that one guy who wrote that wrestling article that I quoted in the second cage match. That's probably what it is.
It's a deep cut right there, buddy.
We also got a really sweet email from Nolan White. Nolan writes, I listen to many podcasts, and Smash Fiction is hands down the one I look forward to the most every week. Oh, you're so sweet. Adult life and natural diaspora that often occurs as we grow up has kept me from seeing my closest friends as often as I like. I feel you. But listening to the show reminds me of the best times I've ever had with those friends. Specifically, you'd like to mention something from the second anniversary show where Megan Bob mentions that she often is critical of herself for a joke she made or a judgment she issued. I don't understand why. And I just wanted to say that she is one of the funniest fucking people I've ever heard. And now that she's a regular part of the show, it wouldn't be the same without her.
Agreed on both
For
counts.
fucking sure.
We all love Bob.
Megan Bob is living hilarious sunshine.
That should be on her business cards.
Yeah, she's not here to like go, stop, so we can just like say all sorts of nice things.
We can just
about her right
heap
now. But,
praise
we'll
upon her
pile it on.
until she can
But
no
seriously.
longer breathe and suffocate. I mean, what?
Not only is she like friggin' hilarious, her mind works in this like fundamentally different way from everyone else on the show, in that she like
Yes!
in this really hilarious way where she attacks jokes from this angle that I would have never seen coming, and just like says
I
things
want that.
on the show that none of us would ever say, and they're just brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, she's friggin' great.
Yep. So she's great, and so are all of you, fans.
Yeah.
We wanted to give a special extra thanks, because they were both thanked in the kit thanks, to Sam Ruiz and Christine Robinson, who are our featured patrons on this episode. That's what they get for being a patron at $1 and up. All of them get assigned strange and random characters in our ongoing storyline. I also wanted to thank fans Little Kipapeo, Adam Mayo, and Jake the Fake Jake, all of whom requested this match. This is apparently a very popular and much desired match, and I wanted to give special thanks to Jake the Fake Jake, who apparently is such a fan of Tyranids that, like, he suggested this match, and then, without knowing we were going to do it, months beforehand, sent us a huge write-up on how great the Tyranids were. And
Was that what you were using,
and-
Dan?
Oh.
that
It
was
all-
the start of my research.
The pieces fall into
But-
I
place.
forgot about that.
I
It's all
will
coming
admit,
together.
I will admit, my argument was much stronger because of that, and it even included the first ever that I know of instance of a hashtag Jake the Fake Jake list. So, thanks to all of them for suggesting that match. This was ridiculous to do.
We hope you all enjoyed it. We had fun recording it.
Everything that I said before about, like, you winning because of your own personal, like, accomplishments is fucking gone.
Yeah.
It's
Remember
over.
when we said it was all
Yep.
Dan?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
No
Yeah,
longer.
man, it was
It's all
all
Hey,
Jake.
Dan, so you know your win record? Yeah. So no,
Yeah.
it's going to
I'm
stay the
giving
same.
this win to
and
Jake.
Jake's win
Yeah.
record goes up by one more.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's
Jake
fair.
is actually at a perfect
Yeah.
record.
Yeah,
Yeah, good job, buddy.
congratulations.
thank you very much for listening to this week's episode of Smash Fiction. Next week, Miss Congeniality's Gracie Hart versus Derek Zoolander.
Smash Fiction is produced by Miles Schneiderman and production assistant Sharon Schneiderman, with logo design by Colin Mulcairn.
Special thanks to Kevin McLeod of the Clan McLeod at Incompetech.com for our theme song, Hitman.
You can find us on Twitter at SmashFic Podcast and search for the Smash Fiction Podcast on Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube.
Subscribe on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice, and if you leave us a good review, we shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Smash Fiction is made possible thanks to our supporters on Patreon at patreon.com/smashfictionpodcast. Please consider donating as little as $1 each month. It helps us keep the show going, and we have great rewards and extra content for those who help us out.
If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other contributions, send them to us at smashfictionpodcast@gmail.com and help us continue the fight.
If it's the future, why hasn't humanity, like, come up with better deodorant for their space marines? Like, get your pH balance right.
I mean,
Humans.
I think their priorities are all out of whack.
I bet the space elves don't have this fucking problem.
Oh, the space elves smell like mint and raspberries.
They rub their armpits on other people's armpits and then charge them for the deodorant.
So go ahead, bite into a Xeno. Get some of that sizzling yellow nougat. Enjoy it until your face melts away.
I really want a Cadbury cream egg now.
Oh, it's got like 4 weird lips on it. Oh, that's weird. Oh God!
That is the ideal size of a Cadbury cream egg. Is like an
Oh,
alien.
yeah.
egg.
Yes,
Oh,
an
man.
an ovomorph.
Just
Yes,
stick
exactly.
my head in there. Anyway.
If I walked into a field of those.
Yep.